Hello everyone, welcome to Get On Point 2018 in review. 2018 went by fast.
It really did.
It went by quite a bit. I have Sid and Emerric here joining us with a guest for this one. Austin. Shadow Lego will be joining us.
Hey.
And
none of you remember me.
it's fine. But, so, to summarize what we're going to be doing, we're going to be discussing our favorite games that we played in 2018 or experienced in 2018. Not necessarily anything that came out in 2018.
Right.
Each person will be able to nominate one game, max of 3, and just talk about it, how you experienced it, do what you need to do, and then toward the end of the podcast, we'll rank them based on our discussions, how convincing people were. And it's more or less we're all just going to be talking about our various experiences from 2018 and just see how they stacked up. And then we'll...
How convincing we are? Are we trying to convince you that our game is the best game of all time?
Not exactly, no.
Well, it doesn't have to be competitive, but just celebrate the game you like.
No, of course.
It's on.
Oh boy, okay. Well, here we go.
Like Donkey Kong or something?
It's on like Donkey Kong, which is not on my list.
Oh no.
Surprise. Also, at the end of the podcast, we'll look into current stuff that's been kind of announced for 2019 and also what we're looking forward to.
Sounds good.
But with that all being said, I guess I'll get started with the first one.
Yeah, please do.
Alright, so I'm a weird person. And the first one I have up here is a game that did come out in 2017, but didn't come out on PC till 2019. Ori and the Blind Forest.
Woo!
For those uninitiated, Ori and the Blind Forest is, to each its own, a 2D Metroidvania. But the art style is magnificent. It has this kind of, I wouldn't say watercolor, more hand-painted art style.
Yeah.
Roughly about that. And I really loved how fluid it was playing through it. I played through it, I want to say, May of last year, roughly about then. And I played the definitive edition because they actually added 2 new abilities in that edition that just make exploring the entire world kind of a bit easier. And with those abilities, they added 2 new areas with it too. So you got to basically test those abilities that they had added before running around the world with them. The game follows this short, little, I don't even know what it is. It's this little animal.
It's an Ori.
Oh,
yeah,
it is an Ori.
Okay. It is a fantasy creature. Yeah.
Yeah. So it follows Ori, and after a storm, they get separated from a friend, and it's ensued that they had passed. So you're playing as Ori, and you're essentially running. I'm saying all this because this happens in the first minute or so.
Yeah.
And then the gameplay is you just running around, kind of almost purifying the lands from this curse that had kind of polluted the area. That's at least how I interpreted it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, good. And then the areas were very diverse. I never really had any problems traversing the different areas that the game put you in. 1 or 2 times I was kind of confused on what to do. But that just comes with the Metroidvania style, and just sometimes the secrets are a little well too hidden, or you gotta backtrack a little bit more to progress on and all that. And there was one area I probably spent good 10 minutes on. just because I wasn't getting a grip of the control of it. So they have this ability where you have to like attack, attack something, and you choose the direction where you're going, and you shoot off in that direction. And it's like kind of this jump, and it took me a while to get it because you have to like, it's like a slingshot almost. You have to like angle yourself backward and you shoot the other direction. It took me a while to get a hang of.
It's such a fun mechanic when you get a hold of it, though, because it just makes moving through that game so much fun. It's almost like a pinball. You just move between like projectile and enemy and just jump off it. It's a very fun moving game in that way.
Like, that just adds on to like the fluidity of the controls, and like there's a double jump in the game, and a lot of people say games with double jumps are just times better.
Games with triple jumps are even better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You get to a whole new level with triple jumps, man.
Yeah. So this game actually won several awards for its artistic achievement and art direction and animation.
Yeah.
So
yeah, unlike
very well deserved.
Unlike the definitive edition, they list like 30 or something. And that's just on the box. Like, there's no telling how many they won after that went retail.
Yeah, I just find it to be such an impressive production, like such an impressive like artistic achievement. Like the hand-painted animation style just works so well and immerses you in the world. The soundtrack is just so beautiful and solemn at parts, and just works together with the story. Yeah, soundtrack is incredible. Oh my gosh.
There's like this one
It's amazing how much music can add to a game.
Yeah, for sure.
There's like this one point where you're like escaping through this tree that was procedurally getting on fire, and you had to like climb up the tree, and just like this score was building, and like once you left, it kind of crescendoed, and it was just amazing. Like was probably my favorite experience.
The tree couldn't even see that it was on fire.
I know, man.
It's a blind forest.
Oh my god!
My gosh! I didn't even think about that. Oh, that makes it even sadder. Oh no!
Oh god!
It's like why am I burning? Why is it so hot?
I'm feeling this burning sensation. I don't know why. But yeah, I think that's just one part that Ori does so well, is its sequences. Like, you have this Metroidvania style where you explore and you find secrets, all that. But the core sequences of the game, especially like when you are trying to escape something and the music is just building along and you're just frantically trying to get out of the way and go to the next platform, that just makes you so... you're gripped along for the ride in those kind of sequences, and that it's so well done.
Right. I'm gonna compare it a bit to Metroid, because while that's been out for 20 odd years, like it's one of the games that defined the Metroidvania genre. That's why it has the name, part of it, and they never really experimented with music and action sequences like Ori did.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Ori was definitely like a unique take on the artistic side of the Metroidvania.
Like in the gameplay sense, it is pretty similar. Like you can see the inspiration and like the origins of that game, but it does like a whole nother level of treatment, both visually and with sound, and just overall polish in a way that I never really felt in the Metroid games. Yeah, it was just really impressive. It was really strange for me, like having both played the Metroid 2 remake on 3DS this year and this game, and just see how different their takes are.
Oh, definitely.
It just makes Ori even more impressive in that way.
Right, and that's not even telling, like, you know, even how long was the game in development? I don't even remember.
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't
think
know.
like 3
Don't worry, I'm
years,
on the
maybe?
Wikipedia page.
Thank you.
3 years sounds accurate, but I could be wrong.
That could be
4
right.
years.
Wow.
4 years, that's right.
Ori and the Blind Forest was developed by Moon Studios, a worldwide collaboration of designers and programmers who have been working on the game 4 years before it was released, with Microsoft acquiring the game about a year after development started.
Wow. That's incredible.
That makes a lot of
And
sense.
I'm just so happy that like this game has done well for them, because it's just such a labor of love. Like all the small details they added to this game, like it feels so good that it's been appreciated like all over the world, and they're able to make a sequel. for
I'm
this
so
game
glad
now.
the sequel's already been announced, and
Yeah,
it just looks incredible.
for sure. And it's because of like how well the Blind Forest was that we are so excited for Will of the Wisps.
Oh, definitely.
Like, because I don't know how it was for you, but when I finished the Blind Forest, I was like really happy to have seen it to the end, but also was like, oh, I would love more of this. And yeah, it's great to know that there will be more.
It's definitely a game you can experience multiple times, though. Like its story is definitely not like one note.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a strong Miyazaki feel.
Yeah,
100%.
That adds to its charm.
definitely.
Which, by the way, I think we're recording this on his birthday. Yeah, we totally are.
Are we really?
Yeah, it's trending on Twitter. It's his birthday today.
Wow,
That is hilarious.
that's amazing. Oh,
Happy birthday, Miyazaki.
indeed.
Ah,
Happy
yes.
birthday. Yes,
Happy birthday.
Oh.
But yeah, that's about all I've got for Ori. I know Emerric as well. You played it quite a bit, and because
Well.
right. Yeah, and I enjoyed the game so much. I have the original and the definitive edition on Steam.
Nice.
But yeah, that's it for my thoughts on Ori.
Very
who's
nice.
next?
Great nomination.
It's me. So, my first pick has not been out for too long, but it did not take a long time for me to really appreciate and enjoy it. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate!
Everyone's here.
yes.
Woo!
Everyone.
And there's more coming! I love this game. I've been waiting for it for so long. My brother and I have been playing this game since like the 64 days. We would have like these little parties at our karate school with the Nintendo 64 version of Smash. And ever since then, we've just loved the game so much. I main Ness. I apologize.
Nothing to apologize for. Ness is a good character.
Okay, good.
No, you
No.
absolutely have everything to apologize for.
Okay.
Oh,
PK Fire!
No,
But yeah,
No.
it's just added so much, and it's nice to see that all of the characters that were in every single game is in this one. And story mode's pretty fun.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey,
So talk to me about the World of Light. Like, how is it different from what they've done with like single player stuff in Smash before?
So it's kind of similar to the last game's classic mode, or they had this mode where you could fight with these really strange and special rule settings, and that's what World of Light is. You go through this world, and then you along the path that you're traveling, you come up to a spirit, and the spirit is something like Buzz from Earthbound, and then you go into the fight, and it turns out that Buzz is just this tiny Mr. Game & Watch that has like super speed and super flight that you have to kill within a certain time limit. So it's just a bunch of really weird rules for each of these spirits that you come across, which is pretty fun. Also, the theme song is amazing.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Lifelight is so good.
Absolutely agree.
I never would have expected lyrics to a Smash Brothers track.
That drop when it happened
No
in the last Smash trailer just blew me away.
Lifelight is beautiful for sure.
Such a good
So
song.
well done.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I think Smash is just so impressive. Like, as a love letter to everyone who has followed Nintendo for the last like 20 whatever years, like there are so many small references and these like characters that you thought would never be brought up again. And I think that's
Yeah.
such a cool way to acknowledge, like, do you know this character? That's great. That's fantastic. You know. And even if you
I
don't,
agree.
then you learn some of it, like Nintendo's history or its consoles, for that matter. Like, that's so cool to me. And if we're to be a great game on top of that, it's amazing.
It feels so weird to
Yeah.
talk about Smash because, like, just looking at it, Smash is Smash. There's not really much to go on. But this particular one has a lot of love, like,
For
deep
sure.
within it, especially in World of Light, with a bunch of how unique a lot of the fights are. Like, one of them they showed off in the trailer was Lakitu and Spiny, which is just Iggy Koopa and a bunch of small Bowsers just running around.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, they got
I mean-
very creative with that.
I don't know what we can even say about this game. Everyone loves it, so
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
no convincing needs to be done here.
No. I just want to say one thing though. Like before, like just imagine like a time before Smash 4, and then you see Smash Ultimate today, and you see like Cloud and Isabelle for you, just all of these characters matched up. Like, how do we live in a world where that is possible? Where you can see these characters, Simon Belmont and Incineroar, and King K. Rool is back in the video game. What is
I know,
happening?
it's so weird.
Finally! King K. Rool and Simon Belmont. You guys remember when they were doing that voting on who would be the next
The
challenger,
ballot,
right?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, King K. Rool, Simon Belmont, those were both two of my top favorites.
Oh,
I think my top favorite was Banjo and Kazooie.
right.
And hopefully they'll be one of the 4 remaining fighters to be revealed. Hopefully.
See, I'm holding out for
Hopefully.
you because my hope for Isaac to be a playable fighter, he's now an
Oh.
assist trophy.
Oh.
Aww.
But they renewed the trademark, which I'm hoping that brings out like a new game or like a release or something.
Oh, there you go. I mean, Switch is a good console to
That is a really good
make
console.
a game for.
Hey developers, you listening to this podcast?
I think they're aware. I think they know.
I wish. A lot of characters that return from Melee also got tuned up as well. Like Pikachu's apparently completely viable and competitive right now.
Right. How
It's
is
so
that
weird.
happening? That the joke secret character of Melee is suddenly viable. That's
And it
so
still
cool.
it still hurts itself, like doing its attacks
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
But it's still completely viable. Apparently it's like in one of the higher tiers. It's just crazy.
Oh, yeah, it's so good.
Well, what do you guys main? That's what I want to know.
All right.
God.
So in Smash 4, I'm a Zelda main. Let's go.
Nice.
Yep.
Feror's Wind and Nair's Love. All those moves are killer. Watch out.
Literally, yeah.
See,
Well?
I have a few I bounce between just depending on, especially in Mortal Light, depending on the fight. Like if I'm not doing good as this character, I'll switch to another one. So I've been playing quite a bit of Richter, and Simon because it took me a while to unlock Richter in actual Smash, because they do this weird unlocking where it's time based, but it's completely there's a set list technically that you could unlock, but it might as well be random because it's hard to figure out. And Richter was like one of the last few I've unlocked. So I got used to playing as Simon. Ike, I used to play quite a bit in Brawl, and like he feels really good in this iteration of Smash. Roy, Chrom, and I've also been trying to learn Corrin quite a bit because I really like how they play.
Nice.
Oh wow.
So basically,
you're a really
you've been
Fire
playing
Emblem
every
kind of
Fire
guy.
Emblem character.
Yeah.
Not every Fire Emblem character. I
How
just
do you feel about Robin?
I still can't understand his play style.
Robin's so hard.
I know.
I don't understand. Emerric, do you play?
No, yes, I have. I've been maining. I've been switching between Shulk, Ganon, and Incineroar. So.
Oh,
Nice. Respect for the Incineroar pick. I like that.
God.
Dude, I love him. He's just the most precious little boy.
It isn't.
I
just,
love how he's just.
It isn't just me with
Go ahead.
like Shulk's range with his basic attacks feels smaller in this version.
Now you see, I never played Smash 4, so I have no reference to go on.
I used to play quite a bit of Smash 4, and I was so used to just being able to poke people quite a bit, and now I'm trying to get used to him again, and it feels so different. Like I gotta get used to that range again.
You see, I love him just because of Xenoblade Chronicles, and also the fact that he's just disgustingly British. That I love it.
British. I thought he was
Beautiful.
Australian.
No, he's
No,
definitely
he's not
British.
Australian. He's
No?
British, right?
Definitely British.
I was wrong. Forgive me.
I'm pretty sure Monolith is a British company.
Mm-hmm. At least I think it is. Best double check.
Yeah, probably. Horribly
Really
inaccurate.
feeling it.
Otherwise.
So it sounds like we're all enjoying the Smash Brothers here.
It's hard
Yeah.
to not enjoy it though. Like
Yeah.
it's a perfect party game.
Nothing more to be said. Emerric.
Alright, so moving on to my pick then.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I want to hear.
So for my first pick, it was finally the reason in which I got around to buying a Nintendo Switch, and that game would be Octopath Traveler.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that heading into it, my expectations for it were a little bit off, because having been told, or going off the what I've been, or going off what I'd seen, I sort of anticipated sort of an 8-player party, considering there are 8 different paths, but that wasn't necessarily the case. But even then, I still absolutely fell in love with it. It's the stories are just so simple, fantastic, but yet well written at the same time. I absolutely adored the combat system. I don't know if any other of you here have played it.
I've not played it yet.
Just
but
I just recently got my Switch, so that's one of the top games
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna pick up.
Now, its basic combat system is you will have a party of 4 who can each use a certain type of weapon, and each enemy you'll fight will have a weakness based on a few specific types of weapons or elements. And so the best way to go about doing that is to hit them on those specific weaknesses, which will lead to breaking them. So they'll stun them for a turn or two, allowing you to get off some pretty major damage. And just that system just works so well for Octopath Traveler that it made combat for me just really enjoyable throughout my entire playthrough of it. So
Yeah.
Now,
Oh,
here's
awesome.
here's a question I have for that. Combat, is it time based? Like how are turns decided on?
When you say time-based, do you mean what do you mean?
Like
by
something
that,
like
Sam?
Final Fantasy. Is it like where you have like a reload action timer?
There isn't a an action timer per se. There are turns, and when each person gets to go in that turn, I'm not particularly sure how it's done, but the faster characters will act faster in
Oh,
the
okay.
turn,
So yeah, it's
and slower
more.
characters will act slower.
Okay, that makes sense.
Pokemon.
Pretty much. The reason I asked is because the way you're explaining it kind of reminds me of the Ubisoft RPG Child of Light. Ubisoft
Ooh, I love
Montreal,
that
I
game.
believe. Yeah, that's.
Oh, I played that, but I really don't remember it at all.
I
I remember enjoying it though. But
yeah, it's similar, based on how you're describing, but the time system, because you have like this timer that everyone follows, and you can disrupt
yeah,
targets based on that.
it is sort of similar in that degree, in that when you break an enemy, it'll cancel their next two turns that you can, the next turns that you can see on the timeline, I guess.
Right.
So, depending on where you do it, it'll either break one or maybe, if you're lucky, two attacks. So,
That makes sense.
but there is one thing that I haven't already talked about Octopath Traveler, and that is its soundtrack, which I've been absolutely adoring.
Yeah, I've heard so many good things about the soundtrack. to this game.
Yeah.
It's honestly such a fantastic, it's honestly such a fantastic soundtrack. So I've been really enjoying listening to the music even outside of the game. So
a
Oh,
guitar coverist I follow did a 2-track or a 2 CD cover album.
I'm very glad you showed me him. Quil.
It's really good.
Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
So good.
This game won Nintendo Game of the Year in the 2018 Golden Joystick Awards.
Ooh.
Now I gotta say that's pretty well deserved.
Now,
That's
I'm very
right.
curious about one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because producers of Octopath were also responsible for Bravely Default, a game I really, really like. How does
A
Octopath?
game I also enjoyed.
Yeah, how does Octopath compare to Bravely Default? Would you say?
I'd say it's really not similar in the slightest. I mean, they're both JRPGs, but from that, I'd say the similarities really end there. Like,
That's really cool.
the stories in Octopath Traveler, obviously, because there are 8 different stories for each 8 different character, they are relatively grounded, in such as there's no overall world-ending plotline.
Sure. Yeah.
Whereas that is pretty prevalent in the Bravely Default series.
For
so,
sure. Yeah.
And I will say for that, it's kind of a nice change of pace. Though I would have liked something like that in the end, and if you look for it, there is. But
Right.
I was hoping for a little bit more. But
Okay.
aside from that, it's still a fantastic experience.
So when this game has 8 protagonists, like how does it handle like the relationships between them? Like, do they interact with each other a lot? How does that work?
During each chapter, there is some possibilities for interactions, but all in all, there really isn't too many,
Okay.
which honestly was perhaps one of my biggest disappointments about
Oh.
Octopath Traveler.
Right.
It was still fantastic, but just I was going in there expecting more of a sort of it being centered around more of a party system
Right.
rather than just each individual characters. But even then, the stories and how well they were just written just still made up for it in the end.
Okay.
So
That's great to hear. That's awesome. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like every part of this game is really impressive. Like that very unique art style of what they call HD 2D, of like the very old school sprites with the fancy shaders and all that.
Yes.
Looks so impressive.
Mhm.
And like the
really
soundtrack that
was.
is so dynamic and just so it just gives you energy to listen to it. It's fantastic.
No, absolutely. I've got to agree there. Like the art style didn't get old at all. Like, yeah, I found it really beautiful to look at throughout its entirety. So, I will say it did have a filter that sort of to make you focus on the center of the screen. It was sort of a vignette. It darkened the edges,
Oh.
and so the first chance I got, I immediately turned that off.
Gotcha.
And, yeah. No, like it just wasn't quite working for me. It made it look quite nice, but it just wasn't for me. But aside from that, visually, it's a stunning game. So
It's great that they had that option. Like they were aware
Mhm.
of it. That's great. Yeah. Man. You're making me want to buy a Switch right now, just listening to both Smash Brothers Ultimate and Octopath right after each other. Just both so impressive games. That's awesome. Oh. That's great.
God, and it's so weird.
That's why
I think-
Nintendo pays us.
Sponsored by Nintendo.
I think those are the only two, like, that we'll really be talking about in this, at least from what I can see, coming up.
no, one of my picks is
Yeah, technically.
both on and off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just recently, but
Yeah.
Either way, I played it on Switch, so I count it as being on Switch.
Sure. Yeah. That counts.
Switch as a whole has had a really good library, like
Mm.
recently.
For sure. Yeah.
Much better than the Wii U.
Better.
Oh, R.I.P. Wii U. You had
Alright,
Mario
thing.
Maker. That was something. So.
I'll just rip that check from Nintendo in half right now. The Wii U sucks.
God, I'm so sad we probably won't be seeing a Star Fox Zero on Switch, because that'd be so good.
Sure. But you get Star Fox Racing, that retro rumor that the people were talking about.
Oh God,
Le-
that's been a
that
rumor for
Retro's
like
making
2
that Star
years.
Fox racing game.
I've been very
Yeah.
excited about it. I just want to hit people in the car as Slippy. That's all I want.
That's a quote. Great. Thank you, Quil.
Well,
You're welcome.
by chance, have you ever heard of Mario Kart?
As Slippy.
Alright.
Don't
Yosh is
understand the
pretty
importance
close.
of this matter.
Mario Kart 9. It's gonna happen. Watch out.
Mario Kart Ultimate.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Alright. I guess it's time to talk about my first game.
Go for
And
it.
it's kind of a strange one, but give it some time. Okay, so just for me, I don't know how it was for everyone else, but Flash games were like a really big part of my childhood. Just going on the internet, just playing the random game on Newgrounds or Congregate or whatever, just those
Mhm.
fun Flash games from yesteryear. And that I was introduced to them like at a very young age. Like they introduced me to whole genres of like puzzle games and multiplayer games and platformers. It was just so exciting time. And one of my favorite Flash games was something called the Fancy Pants Adventures, which was like a 2D hand-drawn platform, which looked and played really well for being a Flash game. It had this like combination of platforming and brawling. Like you had moves, you could like defeat enemies, but also do wall jumps and just get a bunch of speed. It had this like fun blend of Sonic 2, where you just get that amazing momentum in the level and just go flying across the stage. But also that part of Mario 64, where you just have a lot of movement options and different jumps and punches, and it combined both of those games in a really cool way. And so that's why I'm nominating Super Fancy Pants Adventures as one of my favorite 2018 games.
So I
Oh,
watched the
Yeah,
trailer for this. Is this a
Uh-huh.
remake of like World 1 and World 2, or is it a completely original game?
This is a completely new game in a new engine with all the levels from the past games included. So
That
this
makes
is
sense.
super. This has everything and so much more, which is
Because
cool.
all I
Cool
remember
for
from
a fan.
all I remember from that game is snail golf,
Yeah.
and anyone who's played that game will know exactly what I'm talking about.
This game looks like what Sonic the Hedgehog would look like if it was good.
Man, that's such a burn, but I kinda like. I
I'm
like
so
the Sonic
upset
games,
because
but I
Sonic Mania was so good.
Sonic Mania was great. Yes, for sure, definitely. But
Alright, I haven't played that, to be fair.
Right.
but definitely, like, this game gives me a hope for the Sonic series in a way. Like, this is a way they could go. Like, this is Sonic with a lot of like movement options and like
With
attack
ideas
moves. Yeah, and so many
and the
ideas.
story.
Yes. So just to like for everyone listening, I just want to mention like this game looks like a sketchbook. Like this just looks like the doodles you would do in a sketchpad when you're bored in class, when you just started drawing random stuff. Like this is totally that kind of style. And then you're playing this guy, Mr. Fancy Pants, who holds a pen. And he uses this pen in so many creative ways throughout the levels. Like, you can draw your own platforms, you can fill in platforms, you can shoot ink at enemies, and you can just go wild. You can essentially surf on the ink you draw as you go, which is like kind of crazy. And it's a lot of fun to play with. It's one of the few games that like completely devotes itself to like a message and a theme, like both in story and mechanics and in its design. And that's like, it's celebrating creativity, both in like how you move, how you want to go across the level, but also just like the weird designs. Like you so imagine the level designs and enemy designs, and the story goes weird places. There's a late game twist that just breaks the entire series in a way. And just like, what are you doing? I am so confused. And yeah, it's a great game. I would recommend it a lot. It's pretty cheap. I think it's maybe $10 or $15, and it's totally worth it.
I'm buying it right now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Super Fancy Pants Adventures.
It's so weird for you to talk about that, because when it was originally just a Flash game, like, you could not, like, you didn't have the pen, you would just, like, kick things, but you still had that mobility of the game itself, and in the trailer, just, like, seeing all what they show you can do with the pen, that game has, like, changed a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Like, there's a reason you pay money for this game compared to the Flash games, and that is just...
Oh, definitely.
It develops a whole new level on that core concept, which is really cool.
Yeah, this is certainly its own beast.
So yeah, that was my first nomination. Now we're going on to round 2. Back to Quil.
Alright, let's get this going. I bet no one saw this coming. Persona 5, here we go.
I never saw it coming.
So, Persona 5 was in development hell for quite a while. At least from what I remember reading. And, man, just experiencing that game and the characters. Last year, it was my summer game. I would spend just weekends powering through that game. And it's such a long game. But
oh my goodness.
I have a lot of love for the Persona series, having gotten into it from Persona 3. And kind of skipping 4 a bit. I played a little bit of 4, but not too much. And like jumping right into 5. The Persona is a Shin Megami Tensei game. RPG, but they changed a lot of how you move through these dungeons and just how varied and the mechanics in each one. Like, they are proper dungeons. Like, the first one is kind of, you start in this prison cell and then you go into this castle. Eventually, one of them, you're like in this corporate UFO, essentially. Like, hovering in the sky.
Spoilers,
that you
by
have
the way.
to. It's. I'm not specifying exactly, but like, that's just one of the like different areas you can explore. And the game takes the story in so many different ways, and different experiences with all of the characters. It's such a lovely story game. And like the music is what everyone just remembers a lot from the game, because the game has a lot of style. And
well,
the
yeah,
music
and you have to
just-
listen to it for so long, but it's not even a problem because you love it so
No.
much.
It's not a problem. It's so good.
I kind of have an embarrassing story about this game.
Ooh.
Please tell me more.
Well, it's just kind of shameful because, like, you get the game, you put it in, you play it, and you're enjoying it so much, and then you look at the clock and it's been 9 hours, and you're like,
Yeah.
what have I done with my day? And then, you just go on with your life, you go to sleep, and then you wake up, and then you start playing the game again. It's been 12 hours? This can't be right. And then you repeat that for 2 weeks, and you finish the game, and you realize that your family's dead upstairs, and you have no friends anymore. And but anyway,
Now,
my
is
story.
this based on a true tale?
Sorry, someone else can talk.
God.
But like totally, one of my friends played Persona 5, and he had not the same experience because that went to a level I wasn't expecting. But definitely just losing time in that game, just spending entire nights going through a dungeon, just building up social links with people. Like, it's a game you could totally get lost in. And
Like, this is one of the few games you
yeah.
want to talk to people
Right.
and like talk to all the different NPCs, because it builds so much on the story and just helps you progress further in the game.
The art style is phenomenal.
Oh God, there's so much you could
Can-
say.
Can someone talk about the menus with me right now? Because is it the best menu system
Yes.
in a video game?
By far the
It's
best
the
menus.
Best menu. Isn't it amazing when you can appreciate a game's menu to that extent?
It's
like,
incredible.
how good can the rest of the game be if even the menu is phenomenal?
Exactly. It's a
to
thing
this-
like most developers wouldn't care, but Atlas just says, we want every part of this game to be amazing, to blow you away.
100%.
You
To
know what I
describe it for the
appreciate is
people
their
who-
theming as well.
Yeah, the theming.
Like they have the Phantom Thieves, of course, and what I really appreciate about all of the palaces that they go into, all of these personifications of people's desires, is every single palace is themed for a location that a thief would typically go to in like a heist movie or something, like a castle, a museum, a bank, a pyramid, all that sort of stuff.
That's great. It just shows how much like thought was put into the design of the game. Like, it just everything works together, it fits together, like it's designed with every other element in mind. And that's not a thing most games do. So just to have Persona 5 do that, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really blew me away when I picked it up and like got into it. I'm like really towards the end of it. I haven't fully completed it yet because, man, that game's long. Takes a lot of time investment to get into.
Right.
But
Also pretty good voice acting.
incredible voice acting. It's a
And
shame
that's something
haven't.
like
It's a shame I haven't heard good things about the anime, because that does make really good anime, especially all the cutscenes where they actually use like the anime aesthetic.
right, yeah. Yeah, it just has such a solid style all the way through that you would want that to be a good anime as well, because that style almost could carry
Mhm.
carry
Oh,
a
definitely.
show on its own. Yeah. But it's great to hear that they did such a good job on the localization, because that's something that Persona 4 also did extremely well. Like
Mhm.
the voice actors both for 4 and 5 are just they fit their characters so well. There's so
Yeah.
much personality to them. It's so good.
Good
And
casting.
Mm-hmm.
it's so weird as well, because these games are more inspired on like Japanese locations or environments, but
Mm-hmm.
like Western audiences can still experience them and like still enjoy them as if they've like belonged in there a while, just because of how the gameplay, you're actually living through it.
That's so good. Yeah.
It's
Yep.
definitely good. That's my nomination.
Great nomination.
Yay!
Really good.
This is gonna throw off the syncing.
No, it's good.
Oh,
Just
he
clap
clapped
a
here.
few more
This is-
times. Everyone clap. We're going
All right.
good.
Well, my next nomination is actually a board game that I was introduced to earlier this year, not too long ago. But it's called Clank in Space Apocalypse. But
Alright,
the
so when
base
I saw
game-
this, I completely thought it was a Ratchet and Clank game. I was
No.
very confused.
No. It's well, the base game is called Clank, which is a super fun board game. It's this fantasy deck building game where you're traveling through an ancient ruin, which is the game board, and you've got a starting hand of 10 cards that you can use to move through the ruin, buy new cards for your deck, or some of them generate Clank, which is bad. So you put your Clank cubes in a bag, and if the dragon attacks, like if you draw a card that has the dragon attack symbol, then you get attacked by the dragon. So you take that bag, you shuffle it up, and then you draw from it, and if it's a Clank cube of your color, you take a point of damage. So the goal is to go through the ruins, pick up an artifact, and get out safely to keep all of your points. And they came out with this sequel called Clank in Space, which is basically the same thing with a few changes in a sci-fi setting instead of a fantasy setting. And I like it a lot better, but they also came out with this expansion for this game called Clank in Space Apocalypse, which adds 35 new cards and a couple of new mechanics, new parts of the spaceship, and the people I play this with, we couldn't find this expansion for Tabletop Simulator, like in the Steam Workshop, but we really, really wanted to play it. So what I did is I went and found every single painfully low-res image of these new cards, snapped a photo of them, put them in Photoshop, and skewed and resized every single card and color corrected them, and got the new modules and schemes, and I imported them into Tabletop Simulator.
Oh, God.
And my goodness, when
I
all the
love
work was when all the work was finally over, we are having an absolute blast playing this game.
Yeah,
That's
that
so
sounds like an
good.
absolute nightmare to set up.
It sucked, but it was worth it. It was well worth it.
Yeah,
It's just
definitely
a
for you
testament to
explaining.
how much you enjoyed like the original game.
Mhm.
Like that you were able to do, like you wanted to do that just to get, yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, we've even been talking about like doing some homebrew stuff now that we know how to edit and adjust all of this sort of thing. So
Oh, good luck with that.
that may be in the works if we can ever find free time. But I know you guys have Tabletop Simulator, right? We should try this out sometime.
I would love
Totally.
that. Yes.
I'm down for that.
So would you say this is the ultimate Clank experience right here?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Clank in Space Apocalypse is easily one of my favorite board games of all time.
That's fantastic. Oh. I
So
just like
how
the
many-
idea of it, like going through an adventure.
How many players is it up to?
Up to 4.
Up to 4. Okay.
Yep. So 2 to 4.
Okay. So the reason I ask is because I know quite a bit of board games can get very taxing with a large amount of players. So 4 is
it
actually
does
just
take
like
longer with more players, but
yeah. So 4 just sounds like that perfect number for that game.
it's perfect. Yeah. Have you guys ever played deck building games, even if you haven't played this
I
Yes.
have.
one? Yeah.
I don't think I have.
Okay. I think you'd really
Technically have with Epic Spell Wars.
enjoy it.
That's kind of the light version of a deck building game, though.
Yeah. Either way, I haven't played too much, so.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, that's all I have to say about this game.
That sounds really good. I'm hyped for
Yeah.
Clank in Space Apocalypse. It's just a good title. I just want to say it more.
Yeah. you have to make sure you put that pause in between the words and really exclaim it.
Yeah, really enunciate.
Apocalypse.
Oh,
I should hire you
that
for a
delivery
trailer
gave you
right
a
now.
bonus points in my book. Come around ranking time. That'll do well for you.
All right. I'll just say every title like that.
Alright, Emerric, you're next.
Alright, now I can't beat the way that title was presented, so I guess I'll have to do it in my own special way. So, to everyone here, do you all like The Legend of Zelda?
I do.
Yes?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Second question, do you all like dogs?
I love dogs.
I
Dogs
know.
are adorable.
I like foxes.
Then you'll love what I've got to suggest. It is Okami HD.
What is that, Emerric?
It is essentially, just to boil it down, a Legend of Zelda style game. But the main character's a dog, and it's fantastic. I've been absolutely loving
What kind of dog?
God, I don't know. A white one.
It's a wolf.
Shh, you don't have to tell me that. Either way, it's a wolf, a dog. Either way, the main character just acts like a dog, and that's utterly fantastic. Okami HD is a re-release of the game Okami, obviously, which is heavily inspired by it's Japanese mythology, right? Well, not
It is.
mythology, but
It is Japanese mythology. Before I played the game, I watched someone who went very in depth to a lot of the Japanese mythology on it, and just how much they took into consideration with a bunch of like little bits and pieces of Japanese mythology, and created it into this one game. There's a lot of details that you will not see in the actual game. You would actually have to look it up to find the true natures of it all.
I will say that I haven't gone that far in depth with it, but just from what it feels like they have done quite a significant amount of research with all they have drafted up, so yeah, going into this, I really wasn't expecting what I thought it would be. I really didn't anticipate it being more of a Legends of Zelda style game. I thought it was more something in the lines of Journey. So something that was a bit more just
I can
Sure,
understand.
yeah.
less story based and more just you feeling through the environment, just having your own experience like that. But just, I gotta say that I am incredibly glad that I was wrong on that. That, well, yeah.
So when you say it's like Legend of Zelda, what do you mean by that? Are there like dungeons? Is there...
Dungeons, yes. Sort of very much in the same style. I don't know how many dungeons there are in total. I think I haven't beaten the game yet. But
I've beaten it. I'd probably say there's quite There's about the same number there would actually be in a Zelda game.
But either way, considering that the main protagonist is a dog, they get away with quite a few really well done techniques in how to generate puzzles. Like the main way in which Amaterasu, who is the dog, who is also the Japanese god of the sun, which is what the story comes from, is she... it's mostly done through... God, Quil, help me out here. It's ink, right?
It is ink, yeah.
It uses...
basically, you have this companion with you that kind of acts sort of like Navi, and they have access to what's called the Celestial Paintbrush, which allows you to stop time in game and actually draw symbols. Think of it like a like almost like a DS game where you'd like draw something on a touchscreen and then it would actually happen in game, but you're doing it on the game is actively stopping time so you can draw these like little symbols. Like you'll draw like a wind to symbolize like wind going out. You'll draw like early on in the game you'll draw a slash and it'll actually like almost like a sword slash like break through like rocks and stuff. And that's just how you'll interact with the environments using your celestial paintbrush essentially.
Now there are 14 different techniques. I've gone to the point where I've unlocked 13 of the 14, so I haven't quite experienced them all, but it's incredibly well done with what they've gotten with. It opens up a lot of platforming as well as extra things to do within the combat of the game, which is quite a bit more than what I was expecting considering what I was expecting going into it.
The combat is definitely like something you wouldn't expect.
Yeah. The combat essentially, if you run into an enemy, it'll shift the positioning into a sort of circular arena. Several enemies will pop up and you have to obviously fight them. And a lot of those enemies are also drawn from Japanese mythology as well. So it's really quite interesting to see. Well, I haven't seen what it's been drawn from, but it's interesting to see what they've pulled into the game from outside of it. Not to mention that the combat system itself is surprisingly good, I would say.
I love it when games can bring these distinct cultural elements into it just to really improve on the art style and everything. Like this Sumie art style is just gorgeous.
Yeah, and
Definitely.
like we talked about Persona
Gotta
5
agree
with their
there.
good menus. Like Okami has really good menus as well. It's a lot focused on scrolls and like opening up scrolls of each of these different menu styles.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, you're so right. Yeah, definitely. Fits so well with the style and theme of the game. Yeah.
And to go in a bit more detail on the combat as well, like you get different weapons, and although you, like the game itself also knows that you're a dog, so even though you're like attacking with this shield that's on your back or with these beads that float around your neck, like you're still a dog. So you'll get some abilities like a double jump or a one of the more comical abilities is where you can just pee on an enemy.
Yep, that's one of my favorites.
That's a really good one.
Don't you
Like,
hate it when the god of the sun pees on you?
And that specifically, like the game doesn't have a problem with taking itself too seriously, but you'll know when the story has its serious points because like the music will kind of associate itself with that moment, and like it just does a really good job of taking you out of the story almost with these kind of lighthearted moments and then bring you right back in with this kind of dynamic scene that's going on.
Oh, absolutely. I was thinking of a way to try and describe how it sort of switches up its lighter sort of... Either way, you've done a better job of explaining the story and the writing than I ever could, so thank you very much for that.
I played this originally when it was on the Wii, so, like, getting used to it on the HT version was kind of a difference to use the controller for, like, drawing the symbols for the Celestial Paintbrush instead of actually, like, drawing it on the screen with the Wiimote.
Mm-hmm.
But I was happy I didn't have to waggle for combat anymore.
No, there are several ways of doing the Celestial Paintbrush. You can use the controller, you can use it... God, I can't remember what it's called. You can... help me out,
Are you talking about the PS4 controller?
No, the Switch controller.
Oh, the Joy-Con?
Like, yeah. What's the...
So it's the motion sensor on the Joy-Con? Like you can point?
That is one other way. You can use the motion sensors. You can also just use the controller itself. You can use the... This would help if I knew what it was called, but I don't. So that's a problem. You can use the sort of directional controls on the Joy-Con itself, and you can also touch the screen. The Switch screen also functions as a touchscreen, so you can do it by that. But I've mostly just been sticking to just using the directional buttons to do it. I find that to be much easier.
I think because this was originally developed for the PS4 before it was released on PC and Switch, and I don't think it's on Xbox, so I'll have to double check that. But the PS4 controller, you can actually use the touch bar as well.
Oh, that's good. That makes sense. That's a good addition.
Yeah. So, like, when you were trying to describe it, I was, like, trying to make sure you were going in that direction. But, yeah, it does a lot with different control styles with the game. It's just... it's quite... It's a deep story.
Mm-hmm. But, like, this seems like a really good version because of that mechanic. Like, you have so many different control methods for it now that you will always find one that suits you. And it's such like an innovative and imaginative mechanic that is so much better to me than like going to an inventory and changing your key item like in the Zelda game. And now you just have this like spell book of symbols instead. It's just easy to draw. Yeah, that sounds great.
And you do have an inventory, like, you do have items you can equip, you do have different weapons you can equip. And I will also say as well, the story gets kind of Zelda-like, where there is this obvious second half of the story that Zelda kind of likes to do in Ocarina of Time, and, like some of the other games. But, the story itself is just a really good experience.
This game sounds, again, amazing.
It's
like,
a lot of fun.
When you just look at it, it's so unique. You know that this is Okami because of how, like, the cel-shaded style and, like, how it's inspired by this old Japanese drawing style as well. Like, it's such a unique character and drive to Okami. It's so good.
No, that's one thing I never even got around to mentioning is the art style itself. Also, the music in the game is pretty good as well, so...
Nice.
So, Sid, if we want to move on to you.
Sure. Okay, so going along with these odd picks, these odd games...
Please go into detail on this one.
So, the game I want to nominate is Detective Pikachu for the 3DS. Now, this game really surprised me. Like, I did not have a lot of expectations. I thought, like, oh, this is just a kid's game, you know? This is just gonna be like a fun little story. Oh, it's Pikachu in a detective hat doing fancy stuff. But there's a lot more. There's a lot more to this game than meets the eye. There's a story to it, and it gets grim at parts. Like it appreciates the film noir roots without just being some sort of trope. And Pikachu's voice actor, he's
Ryan
amazing.
Reynolds.
Like, no, it's not the movie.
It's not the movie's voice actor, but like it fits.
Yeah, it's just the delivery, especially when you just listen to Detective Pikachu deliver a line. It just has that sort of gruff tone, but also this kind of optimism, and like how that collides and works together is so much fun. It's so well done. And like the writing works with that. Like it gives a lot of the main characters in the story like a distinct personality, like they feel like people. And well, the voice acting is okay. Detective Pikachu's is definitely like a step above that, but it has good writing, and I really like the art style. Like for being a 3DS game, it looks really good. Like there's a lot of small details in the environment. They feel detailed and vibrant, like you're in your real city. And I think this city was made especially for the game, and the movie is set in the same city as well. And there's just so much detail, and it left me wanting to explore it, which is so important for like a detective investigating game. Like you need those environments to be interesting.
Yeah.
So that's so good.
So in terms of gameplay, how does
Yeah.
it play out? Is it anything like Professor Layton or Ace Attorney?
Think the investigation segments from Ace Attorney. Like you definitely are, but it's a lot more not exactly dynamic, but it's a lot more open and active than that. Like you actually are walking through the environment. You're going from screen to screen in a way. You can go back and go into the back of a scene. You can go into the front of a scene. You can open a trash can and dig inside it, see if there's any clues.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk to any of the Pokemon and the people in each scene. And like being able to talk to Pokemon and actually hear their thoughts on something is just like, what is this game? It just makes the Pokemon world so much more interesting to me. Like it opened up a level of lore that I was not expecting, if that makes sense. And like that's this game is about. It's about talking with witnesses. It's about gathering evidence and then making conclusions and solving each case based on that. And you have this story that builds on multiple levels. You have chapters that each have a case, like you each have a mystery you need to solve, which is like, someone's been kidnapped, or someone got away with this secret laboratory experiment, and just a lot of stuff is happening in the city that you need to try and solve. But then you also have this grander narrative about your dad dying in a car accident, and the mystery surrounding that, like, whoa, did someone actually kill him and then make it look like an accident, and like, why would they do that? It's a great conspiracy around that.
Oh wow.
And then then there's the stuff about Detective Pikachu, and like there's something going on with him too, and you're not quite sure what, but then you're getting more and more clues about it, because this is kind of a trope. The Pikachu gets amnesia near the beginning of the game, and then he gets more and more memories, like he starts remembering more and more stuff. But it goes a place, which is really cool, and it just builds up to this last case that like kind of connects every case, every mystery, and the grander story together. And it's just like, oh man, there's so much going on. And then there's the small bummer, is the end of the game. The reveal at the end of the game kind of drops the ball, unfortunately.
Oh no.
Like up the 95% of that game, amazing, does so much for the world building and the characters in the story, and then it goes in a direction you don't expect, and it kind of is a bummer. But like overall, I still have really positive thoughts about this game. I will show. I don't know if any of you saw, but I linked this video of all the different like interactions you can have with Detective Pikachu, and there's just so much like funny comedy that works on like I would say a Pixar level of quality. Like you have this slapstick comedy for the younger audiences, but then you also have these like funny innuendos and very like not exactly adult comedy, but comedy that works for older people. Like it's
Right.
intellectual at parts. And it's like this writing is so good, and wow, you made Detective Pikachu in like a really interesting game.
So are you going to see the movie?
I am. Because this game made me so hopeful for the movie. Like if they take a lot of the parts that made the game great, like if they take inspiration from that setting and incorporate it into the movie, I think it can be great, actually. Which is a weird thing to say.
Not only the setting, but also the interaction with the Pokemon from what you're describing.
Yes, definitely. Like, Pokemon have a personality. They have thoughts about their owners, about their trainers, and about the environment they live in. Like that thoughts about how to make this community better. It's like, whoa, there's a brain in there. That brain is thinking right now. It's not only just doing things on command.
Yeah.
It wants stuff. And like,
Right.
yes, that's great. So yeah, I'm very curious about the movie. I want it to be good. I just wish they used the voice actor from the game, though. I like him so much more than Ryan Reynolds.
Sorry, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I mean, you're good. You just don't have that gruff detective quality to your voice.
But I
That's-
also
that-
like to say that Deadpool is Pikachu. I also like the thought of that.
That is pretty funny. That is pretty funny to think about.
I knew she was trouble as soon as she walked into my door.
There's actually a joke. There's an exact joke like that.
Oh, really?
In this
Oh my
game.
god.
It
That's
knows what
hilarious.
it is. It knows what it is, and it loves it.
Since she walked into my door, I assumed she had a problem seeing.
So yeah, Detective Pikachu for the 3DS. Don't sleep on it, please.
That does sound pretty
when
good.
when they announced it, it felt like a really weird game to have as like a Pokemon side game.
It felt like a joke to me, honestly. When I first saw the trailer, it's
Right.
like, how did you come up with this? What? How did this happen? And now I get it. There was a good core concept to the game. Yeah.
You got me interested.
Good. Alright. How do you feel about taking like a 5-minute break? Because we've been doing this for over an hour.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
like
Yeah.
do some stretches, refill some water, and then we'll
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah, sure,
I
sure.
will go do that.
Okay.
Alright.
So
I'm
we'll be
yeah.
right back, everyone. Well, on to round 3 now, back from our break. I'll be starting off round 3. The last nomination we have. This one's a bit personal to me. Very weird considering the other ones I've mentioned. But man, Twilight Princess is probably one of my favorite games. I played the HD version for all intents and purposes for my channel because I had originally done the project on Wii and then did it for the HD version on Wii U. But man, that game holds up so well. It's 12 years old. And man,
Is it
doesn't
really?
even-
Wow.
It's 12 years old. Yeah, it came out in 2006
Oh
on
no,
the
now you're
GameCube.
making me feel old.
Yeah.
I know it. I did the research before like putting it on my list. So I'm like it holds up so well, and a lot of the mechanics and just the graphics, just like it stands the test of time. And like you're not gonna get a surprise out of this. This is essentially Ocarina of Time 2. There's a lot of mechanics Twilight Princess borrows from Ocarina of Time that is incorporated into this game, but they flush it out so well and create this very in-depth story where just this realm is taking over the realm, like the real realm, and like you have to essentially push it all back. And like Midna, the companion character, is probably the best companion character of the Zelda series.
I agree with
she's expanded on so much in the story that like no other, maybe King of Red Lions, if you can consider him a companion. He's more of a vehicle. But just man, a lot about that game. The items as well. Some people say they're kind of dumb. Ball and chain, spinner. I love them. I love using them in kind of these unorthodox ways, like using a spinner in horde of enemies, just because it does that area damage. Just using it in all different ways, just the creativity that the Zelda games do. And the puzzles, the environments as well. It's an expansion of the Ocarina of Time environments and Majora's Mask. Like you're going through Snoke Peak again, but in an HD kind of realization of it, where you're scaling this snowy mountain. There's just a lot to this game that I've refound a lot of love for, replaying it in 2018.
Yeah.
Like I was watching like the Let's Play you were doing, Quil, on Twilight Princess, and that just reintroduced me into like the many things that make the game great. Like I still think it looks cool, and like it has that like Zelda identity like worn into its skin really well, I think. Like it's such a solid game.
It does a realistic Zelda quite well. It is on the Wii U, which some people could probably scoff at, but like it incorporates the gamepad quite well, just the use of the map, and then the fact you can just click on your items at a go. You didn't have to go through this menu on screen. Just made it a very quick and easy way to get what you needed and get back to the game. Kept the flow of the game going really well. And some of the incorporations, like a lot of the chests in the game, have been swapped to include like Miiverse stamps when Miiverse was still a thing.
Oh.
So like you'll find these weird, almost like emotes of Zelda characters that are kind of outlined as Miiverse stamps. It's very weird. Like I think I have a Coco one that I used quite a bit. some reason found joy in it, but like I picked up the game when it came out and have like the Wolf Link amiibo. It's just, man, I have so much affiliation with that game.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I know this is a lot of people's favorite Zelda game.
That's weird because I whenever I hear about it, I just hear like a lot of comparatives to Ocarina, and basically it pretty much is Ocarina of Time, just done a bit better. But like, man, it's a really good Zelda. It kind of is weird that Breath of the Wild is one of the top games of 2017, but like I did not like Breath of the Wild just because it took a lot of the Zelda elements, and like all the dungeons were taken out, and instead they added like a bunch of puzzles, and that really
And
did
here I
not
thought my
resonate well with
opinion
me.
was controversial. I actually agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah,
I
because
thought-
like
I thought the
There's
dungeons
not-
were all sort of the same, and the bosses in the
Yeah.
dungeons were all sort of the same.
I agree. Like, there's a lot of originality that Twilight Princess brings. Although you do fight a spider, because Goma.
Well, yeah, Goma should be in every game. Goma wasn't in Breath of the Wild.
Goma should be in Smash.
Goma.
They put really to Smash. Bring Goma. But no, like, I love exploring all the dungeons. They're so different in style and how you go about exploring them. One of them is a manor. You just go through different rooms in the manor. And it just
It's like-
takes a... Go ahead.
It's like a Luigi's Mansion style manner? Or are we talking
No!
here?
It's more like a fetch quest. You'll have to, like, get items for, like, one of the NPCs. And,
Huh.
like, bring it back. Because, like, the big key is, like, their bedroom. So, like, you have to go through, and it keeps, like, tricking you into thinking you're finding it, but instead you find, like, a pumpkin. Or, like, some other vegetable. But
Yeah.
it actually is done really well in the dungeon, because another NPC is actually cooking food, and you could actually use it as potions. And the items, when you bring them back, improve the food, like improve the soup, and it actually
Oh.
improves the healing on it. Like it's done really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really inventive. Yeah, I love that. Oh.
They had really creative dungeons in Twilight Princess.
They sure did. Again, the game does take a lot of bloom into it. Especially the Wii and GameCube versions. The HD version was a bit better on that. They took a lot of the bloom out in favor for HD textures, and it just
Right.
works really well. And double claw
'Cause I
shots
guess-
just should be in every Zelda game ever.
Like, I guess they didn't have to wash it out with the bloom because, like, they now had the hardware to actually make it all, like, look and render well
Oh,
Mhm.
definitely.
in the HD version. It sounds like a really good version of this game, for sure.
Oh, and it's definitely like the best version to play of the game. One thing that did turn me off of the game, though, they use the GameCube orientation. So for those that don't know, the game was released on GameCube and then on Wii, but they flipped it because Link wasn't right-handed in the GameCube version, so they flipped it to fit his. So it was fit his hands, and then in the HD version, the normal mode you play through it how it was on the GameCube, that perspective, and then they have a New Game Plus, which is Hero mode, and then they flip it. But I'm so used to playing it from the Wii version. On the normal mode, it took quite a bit to get used to because everything was flipped.
Right. Oh, okay.
So it took quite a bit to get used to.
I just remember the good old days of wildly swinging the Wii remote, hoping that everything hits.
Oh God. Yeah, I didn't have much of a problem with that. I know Skyward Sword was a lot more in depth in the sword play in that, but like, it definitely fits that game better to be more button
Right.
heavy than waggle.
I mean, it was designed originally with the GameCube in mind, so that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my nomination. A bit more personal, but I feel like I'd be doing it a disservice if I didn't put it on here because I did spend quite a bit of 2018 on it.
That's the right thing. Like, we were talking about the games we love here. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
definitely.
All right, Austin.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
This is the one.
Alright.
We probably won't spend too much time on
Hold
this.
on.
Oh,
There's still daylight out. We got plenty of time. Keep going.
All right. I guess So, I've spent like 500 hours on just playing this game throughout 2018, probably. This is the game that has changed my life, for better or for worse. I am horrendously obsessed. I just received printed artwork from some games.
wow.
It's D&D. Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. Oh my god.
It is my favorite game of all time. I play in Lord Laylap's Storm King's Thunder game, in which I play a Dwarven Artificer. I play a Minotaur named Cream in another homebrew game. In Wintermaw's amazing homebrew game, which is the first D&D campaign I've ever played in, I play a forest gnome named Captain Sinric Whittigant Nimgoggle Spriggity Plank Tuck Nugget Spit Lake Gaskafras Nickel Hand Sashi Hashi Click Tock Tick Clock Juliet Yodel Franz Trey Benowich Whiskey Guzzled Knock Tackle Patras Fecal Face McGee Twice Armless Thrice Dead Blister Skin Spider King X Spider King Statue Legs Abdo Sola Oot Algaa Spaji Adwell Akal aka Phineas Ernhelm Larkenfellow aka Sir Scal Golden Voice Tobar.
I gotta give you a round of applause for doing that. In one row.
Same here. Wow.
That was incredible.
What a performance.
And,
I know you put a lot of effort into your artificer to get like the stuttering down, but just that name of that one character. Oh my god.
Oh,
You practiced.
You guys have no idea how hard it is to do a Dwarven accent and stutter at the same time. So hard. But yeah, we're reaching the end of the first campaign I've ever been in. It's ending in just a few more sessions. But I've also been slaving day and night preparing for the campaign that I'll be DMing starting in about a month, taking place in the Eberron setting, which, similar to like Detective Pikachu, is this neo-noir kind of feel.
Oh, now I want the D&D campaign in the Pokemon universe. What?
Oh man.
They have a supplement where it's just the mystery dungeon, and you're just playing a lot of the starters
Oh, sure.
as
My God,
classes.
I want that in my life. I want that in my
Wow.
life.
I was considering running it at one point, but that was when I was just getting started into DMing. Man, personally, as a D&D has just opened my eyes to a lot of different tabletop experiences. When I was growing up, a lot of the time I would be writing quite a bit, writing my own stories, and I had always wanted this experience where I would, show it to friends and have them going on this venture with me. And D&D scratched that itch in spades. There's so many different experiences that you can only just tell about and just carve this intricate and beautiful story with essentially is your group of friends.
Yeah. D&D at its basic core is a medium for storytelling, and that's what I really appreciate about it, is just how much you can explore the depth of characters and stories with incredible gameplay. And yeah, like I said, it's changed my life.
I'm just nodding my head to all of your statements because I could not agree more. It does so much with everyone who plays it, I think. Everyone who plays it, gets this experience of being enveloped by this whole new world that the DM is creating for them, and they get to change it and build these stories together, with their own ideas in mind, and that's just so powerful.
Yeah.
To me. Like for friends to have that experience together of like creating and sharing this is just so wild.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have much else to say.
There's not much else to add to it because like everyone that experiences it will have a different story. It's all based on the groups you play with, and that's just what makes D&D such an incredible medium.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful game, and I'm just so happy that it's making a comeback. Like, it's becoming like more of a thing in mainstream media, and people are playing it now that haven't really even considered it in the past. Like, the phrase nowadays, of course, is "it's chic to be geek." So,
Right.
Yeah, really. Like at
it's-
this point with like Twitch thriving and streaming at D&D, like that was I just saying that probably back in 2010 would have been just this very weird concept. People would like turn heads at you. But now it just feels so day to day, and like as you said, adding to mainstream media, and it's so weird that the generation we live in right now.
Mm-hmm. And just one small note, it's completely absurd to me that a D&D campaign was adapted into a graphic novel and published like in stores. That is a thing that happened last year, and I'm just amazed.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Are you talking about the Adventure Zone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it.
It's incredible. People willingly subject themselves to listen to other people's D&D games.
I know. I spend hours every week doing that stuff. What? I've been
know.
broken.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, but it's so much fun, though.
Yeah.
It's fun to play. It's fun to listen and watch. Like, so good.
There's just too much to be said about this game. There's so much I could say that I just won't, because it would take way too long.
Right.
I will say though, like for the listeners that are interested from what we're describing, it's very easy and not easy to get into. It's so weird. It's easy to find a group if you're actively looking for one to get into, but the barrier of entry, like reading a bunch of the books and stuff, that in itself is kind of difficult because
Although,
just a lot of research. But,
sure. But
Um,
although, to be
general
fair,
recommend.
like
Go ahead.
5th edition is much simpler compared to like a lot of the past editions. And so
Definitely.
it's a
Most
lot
definitely.
easier to get into than it was, which I think is part of the reason it's making a comeback.
Yeah. And I will say, it might be easy to find a group, but I think it's also very important to find the right group.
Yeah.
Like, to find a group that wants the same things that you do. Because D&D is so open that, like, each player could have their own goals and objectives. And I think it's very important to have, like, a common goal
Mhm.
for what you want to do with D&D. Like, do you want to
Most
focus on
definitely.
power building or making a good story or whatever? Like,
It's
yeah.
important that everyone's on the same page, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And everyone's going to have a different experience, but it's going to be an experience that you help create, and that's just what makes D&D D&D.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's
That
my
is
nomination.
a great nomination, Austin. Yeah, fantastic. I think everyone was sold before you even said the name.
Yep. It's important to note though that everyone here plays D&D. Everyone here really enjoys D&D.
Yep.
Yep.
And might be a very biased answer in the end.
Yep.
Just a bit.
And that's
bit.
okay.
All right. Emerric, I just want to say, I've only played a demo for your nomination, but I absolutely loved every minute of it.
I've got to say that I wasn't really expecting too much going into this game, but enjoyed every second of it. My next nomination will be Radiant Historia, Perfect Chronology, which is a JRPG that was originally released on the Nintendo DS, but was released, I can't remember when, but I got it sometime this year on sale on the 3DS store. And its main premise is that at some point early on in the game, the main character,
Stuck?
Stark, yes, hits a point where he is doomed to die, and so he has to somehow change the future, and he is aided in that by two outside influences. I can't remember their names.
Me neither. But essentially he's given the power to time travel or go back to a past event.
Essentially, yeah. He's given the power to time travel through a book he receives called the White Chronicle. And in essence, he has to go around undoing the actions of the wielder of the Black Chronicle, which is a sort of alternative book, sort of polarizing. You've got white and you've got black, so obviously one is good, one is evil. And the way that it just sort of goes through its story because early on there is one big division, there's one really big moment early on in which there is a split path. One side you can stay on the road that you're going, or you can join, I believe it's one of your friends' army companies, because in the game there is currently a war going on, so you can either stick with the Secret Service or join the army, essentially. And from that, you time travel between each of the two different pathways using skills you learn from one area in the other pathway, and sort of you get to experience both stories at the same time as they're sort of unfolding in similar.
And it's so smart in how that's designed, because
yes,
you can consider like the time traveling as a puzzle, because you might reach a point in one timeline and it's like, oh man, if I had this information, then I would know what to do. And then you can go to the other timeline, like if you made the other decision way early in the game, and then you can get that information, and then you can go back again and then solve it and progress in that story. And
yes, that is sort of the main process.
Yeah.
Is that there are things you will learn in one pathway that you'll need to go through the other, and that's sort of how it manages its story progression at the time. Sort of keeping them both in track so you don't wander too far down one and don't progress down the other at all.
And like, I imagine for a listener that this might sound like very confusing, like, oh my, okay, a time travel story, that sounds like really open and confusing. But the book that you get is like really useful, because you can see every event laid out like very neatly in a timeline, and then you can see, oh, this is a branching point, this is a point where you haven't done what you need to yet, and it's simplified in a way that makes it very easy to make progress.
It keeps a very good record of what you have and what you haven't done in the
Yeah.
story as of so far.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was only really one sort of problem that you had to solve via time travel that wasn't particularly well done,
Right.
but aside from that, it was pretty straightforward in what you had to do.
That's good to hear.
Even then, the thing that I tripped up on, I knew what to do, I just couldn't find the character who would teach me how to do said thing.
I
so.
see. Okay.
But after a quick look up on the internet, I soon found where I had to find them out. So
Not too bad.
the benefits of living in 2018.
Exactly. There's always a walkthrough.
Mm.
Oh, that's very good. And I just want to make one note. I think the voice acting in this game is very strong. I like a lot of the voice acting for the characters.
I played it such a long time earlier this year that I had sort of forgotten, but I can remember the main character Stark's voice acting, and I can pretty much agree it's really well done. So,
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
one thing I also haven't brought up so far is the combat system in this game.
Yeah.
That, since it's a JRPG, it of course has random encounters, and the main way in which this game does it is enemies are placed on a 3x3 grid. The closer they are to you, the more damage you deal to them, but the more damage they deal to you, and the further away on the grid they are to you, the less damage they deal, but the less damage you deal to them. And you have moves that will target specific rows, specific columns, and you can use that to shuffle around the enemies, get them all onto one tile, and do multiple attacks that will hit all enemies on that one tile. So you can use that to chain a good amount of damage. And it's a really well done combat system, I'm not going to lie. I've really enjoyed playing through it. It works really well.
Yeah. I found it like so unique and fun, like how you could just like shuffle enemies around the battlefield and they just land one giant strike that hits them all. It's so rewarding.
Yeah, I would agree.
One thing question I want to ask about the story. Recently, a lot of RPGs have been having a feature where it actually details like what you have done in the story so far, in case you come back to it like after a session, and you come back to it in case you forget. Does the game have something like that?
Oh, absolutely. The way you travel through between each pathway, you can go back along it and it will bring up events as well as previous points in the past of which you can travel to.
Okay, yeah.
And it will explain what has happened briefly in those points. So yes, it does do that.
Yeah, because I feel like with major plot device being that book, I feel like you would need to do that. And hearing that it does do that, it helps reassure that, probably, especially with that game being portable, like playing it in multiple sessions.
Yeah, it's very like neatly or smartly designed in that way. Like it's a book, and you can read about all the past events so you don't get lost, because it's a long RPG. There might be a time like where you just take a long break, and I think the book is a really clever way of catching up again if you don't remember the story.
Oh, indeed.
Let me check how much time I spent on this. I don't think I can without saving it, but I have the game open right now. Either way, I'm pretty sure I've sunk way too many hours into this. I enjoyed every second of them, so I would highly recommend this if you're into JRPGs or RPGs of the sort.
Yeah. Ray and Historia is a name I've heard in a while. Is that that's not a Natsume title, is it?
I do not know.
It's Atlas, I think.
Atlas makes
sense.
sense.
I'm pretty sure it's Atlas.
And it was originally for the DS, because I think this is like a remake, updated remake or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this game. I just bought it for Christmas, so I'm just so anticipating getting deep into this game. I'm so excited.
No, I bought it when it was on sale, so I had absolutely no expectations going into it, and it was a good decision to make. So,
Awesome.
yeah, just looking at it right now, I've sunk 42 hours into it.
Nice.
Not
there's
bad.
a good long time there for you.
It's a good length, definitely. That's awesome.
And I've still got a fair bit more to go if I ever want to get around to doing it.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Do you know if it has like multiple endings? Because I know definitely like the 3DS version has like an epilogue or something like that.
yes, there's an epilogue, but I think that's a sort of different story.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
I should also point out that throughout the entire story, there are several bad endings that can occur, just based on whether or not you choose the good or the bad option. I kind of wish that there was more that split the path again, but that would have made things overly complicated, so I can understand why they didn't do that, but the bad endings are pretty simple. In terms of the actual end, I don't know how many there are, but I'm pretty sure there's another one, but I just haven't hit it yet. I don't think I've done enough to get the
Sure.
true quote-unquote ending. So.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, this game sounds really impressive. Like, I'm always worried about time travel stories in games, but I think this might be one of them that makes the most sense. Like, that
Oh, certainly.
does, yeah, does the most effort in making keeping it sensitive. So that's really cool.
Man,
Yeah, I will say that that didn't. That wasn't a problem for me in the slightest throughout my entire playthrough. of
That's
it,
great.
so-
for anyone
Awesome.
who has like ever tried before to make a story involving time travel, oh, it is. It's stupid hard. So
It
anyone
can
that
get
can do that
rough
and have it make
real
sense,
quick.
props to them.
Definitely. All right. Is it time for my final nomination?
It is
Oh,
time.
yes, please
think
go
it
into
is.
detail about this.
Okay. So, kind of like Quil, this is a very like personal game for me. Because I'm just gonna come out and say it. 2018 was a pretty rough year for the world in general. I feel like, because I saw like this shift towards self-interest and conflict in a way that I hadn't seen before. Maybe like I've just grown up enough to notice now, but that kind of left me feeling like hopeless and despondent, like about the about where the world is heading. And then I find this game. I come across this game that is so genuinely hopeful in its message, with a world of characters that have their own flaws and anxieties and hopes and dreams that can be guided and like influenced by a positivity, the spark that this character your player character has. That it gave me again hope for the future and like hope for the world again. So my final nomination is for something that resonated with me so personally, that changed my worldview and philosophy, and that gives me to this day this drive to try and make the world a better place for everyone. And that name and that game is Wandersong. It's not a game that I expect anyone else to have such a connection to make that kind of connection, but this silly platformer about a fantasy bard just going around the world and greeting all of its issues with song and a smile. It talks about conflict and anxiety, about capitalism and destiny and the persona and life and death. It takes on all the subjects that I think everyone deals with some part of their life, and handles them with such like a delicate touch and care. And it's brave enough to like take a stance on many like different problems, and it just keeps this charm and positivity and atmosphere that just wants you to keep going, even though they're going through so many struggles, being beaten down again and again and again. Because this game says that even though life can be painful sometimes, it's still worth living because of the people around us, because of the people we care about and the people that care about us in return. And it's this bard just never-ending hope for a better future that brings the story to this so rewarding conclusion. And you get to be there for every chapter, every part of it. You get to see all these personal stories about helping a grieving daughter connect with her dead mother one last time, like through the music they played together. You get to sing this amazing, uplifting sea shanty with your pirate crew. You build this deep and meaningful relationship with your friend, with your new friend. You get to pet dogs in this game. You get to end the rule of
Best
an
game.
evil corporation through just talking to them, not through fighting
Sounds like
them.
number one
It's
game of the
just,
year for me.
it's just so loving and caring. It's not about like being the capital H hero, but it's about being your own kind of hero, like being a hero for the people you care about. And I could talk forever about like its cute papercraft art style and all the beautiful color palettes that each scene has. I could talk about the amazing dynamic 150 track soundtrack and the lively sound design surrounding it. I could talk about how the the fun of the music-based puzzles. You sing just to have this like tree grow up and give you a platform to move on. Like music affects the world in so many ways. But for me, what deserves most attention about Wandersong is like how it's written and how much it cares about its own characters. And that's Wandersong. It's a musical adventure game about believing in unity and togetherness and to never lose hope in yourself.
Oh, Sid! Just your description of this game was so beautiful. I've never even played it, and I want to put it at number 1.
Yeah. So I've not heard about this game at all, and I watched the trailer, and it just seems like such an adorable adventure. As this like little bard, where you're just going around singing to people, and with your like in-depth description of like the positivity bringing to other people, like being your own hero, like that definitely fits perfect with this game and just how it's stylized.
Yeah. And like it's not about just like this shallow optimism and hope. Like this game shows the dark sides of life and says like it's okay to feel bad sometimes because it can get better. Like it's just this genuine optimism, which I really enjoyed.
Wow. I just saw that this game was published by Humble Bundle.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's cool. And it was just nominated for best writing at the IGF. It's like this big indie game competition, and like it was recognized for its writing.
My goodness.
Which is really cool. Yeah.
What game was it or what year was it released in?
It's the 2018 game.
Oh, it was 2018. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, you have to appreciate so much the games that show that you can have an amazing adventure and go through all of this story, and you don't have to be violent to share that story.
Yes.
You don't have to go to a place of violence to explore deep emotions like that and to solve problems.
Well, especially now in like today's gaming media, I feel like a lot of the stories are getting a lot more mature, a lot kind of darker theming to it all, and it's definitely uplifting to hear about a really good positive story.
Yeah. Because I will say, like, writing in general in video games had gotten so much better over the last few years. But, like,
Definitely.
the best games of this year, just an example, Red Dead Redemption 2 and God of War and Spider-Man, all the player characters in that game, they fight. That's how they solve problems. Like, you still have that as being very prevalent in games. And so to have this game that just rejects violence as a solution, just as there are different solutions, there are different ways of doing this, that's so uplifting to me. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I with just your description alone, like, yeah, that fully fits this game, and like the different kind of I'll say ideologies that this game kind of presents.
Sure. Yes. I think that's a good description.
That's probably the best word for it.
I mean, shut up and take my money. Where do I buy this game?
I think it's on Humble, of course, because it's published by Humble Bundle.
Yeah, of course.
It's also on Itch and Steam, and it's on Switch. It's
on
such a good
Switch?
Switch game. Yes. Yeah, playing that on the
Sid,
go.
I think you're gonna make Austin buy 2 games.
My wallet can't handle this discussion.
Well, I will say Wandersong is not a full price game, so take that at least.
It is probably gonna be worth the purchase though for anyone that plays.
$20
it.
bucks,
Yeah.
done.
$20.
Already bought it.
Oh,
No.
my God.
I will though. You've convinced me.
Oh.
You've
I'm
convinced me with
happy.
my happiness and joy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So yeah, that was my take. Thank you for listening.
Of course.
How do I
man.
hug someone through a microphone?
Okay. So with that emotional outburst out of the way, let's go on to honorable mentions.
Of
No.
course. So we'll be mentioning these by name and maybe a few blurbs here and there, but we won't be spending much time at all on these because they weren't
Yeah.
our nominations. But we at least want to say something about them because they,
Yeah.
we play them.
These were
I'll start
the
with-
games. Just
Go
sorry.
ahead.
These are the games we wanted to shout out. We just didn't make time for them. Like we can't dedicate all the time in the world to talk
Oh, no.
about our favorite
This is
games.
Can?
Already 2 hours long in recording.
Right. But we want to mention them and know that we appreciate them. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'll go ahead and start with my list because my list is fairly easy. Quite a bit of 2018 that I wasn't spending playing RPGs. I spent just like I would get on a game and like do a run. One game I'll mention, like Dead Cells. I did just a run in that game because a lot of games are easy to just quickly dive into. So Dead Cells I played quite a bit of. Monster Hunter World. That was a really good game that came out last year, and that I would just do a run of and then stop playing. Astroneer. That's really a game I have to get into the mindset of, but I will play for hours and hours just going through the different worlds that are procedurally generated. The Messenger I've only just started playing in December, but has so many good themes to it. Like, I'm excited to play more of it this year. And Ocarina of Time Randomizer, which is in essence a roguelike, because it randomizes all the Ocarina of Time items and everything in the world, and you just are tasked to go there and beat the game with these random items that you would not find otherwise. And that's just been a really fun challenge to me.
I think it's just such a good showcase of what mods can do, like what the community, like what their potential is, like that they can create something like this. It's almost like a different game out of Ocarina of Time.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
that's
definitely.
such a cool idea.
Like, there's an Earthbound randomizer that's been made.
Mhm.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
how?
It's wild. Oh.
Oh,
But those
shoot.
are my mentions.
I guess that can be my mention, by the way. Earthbound. I think I just played
Hey.
that this year, for the first time,
Nice.
and it is. Oh my goodness! I didn't know how good it was until I played it. It's got to be one of my favorite RPGs, especially of that era. My goodness.
Mm-hmm. It's such a one-of-a-kind game. Like, I can't think of a game that is like it. Yeah, it has such a charm and its own identity.
Mhm.
And at the outset, it looks like it's kind of childish and just like, oh, this good charm Nintendo game.
It's
but
dark.
it also has it gets dark. Seriously.
Hello, Ness. This is your
well,
dad.
That's almost that's my favorite kind of game. Like its outer shell is so cute, but then it kind of hides this inner darkness. It's wild.
It is wild.
So my honorable mentions. Firstly, Detective, a true crime board game.
Ooh.
So this is a collaborative, cooperative board game where you're just a team of detectives, team of investigators, and you're just trying to solve this case, man. It's so cool.
Oh God, what is cooperation?
So it's just like there are no turns. You just work together, and the only like limit is a time limit. So you get a clue, and then you decide, oh, I'm going to investigate the archives, and that takes like 5 hours. Then you might only have like 7 days, so you need to decide which clue is worth investigating, and like you will not
Now,
learn
is this all
every
in
facet
real time?
It's not real time, thankfully not. There's a thing on the card that says 3 hours.
Good.
But I will say that the unique
Steady
part
time
about
commitment.
Yes. The unique part about this game, because it's like a narrative, so you only play each case once, because then you learn its mystery. But it has it has its own website. It has like a database. You go to this website and you log in, and then you put in DNA
God.
and fingerprints,
What?
and then you like cross-reference them. It's wild and so cool. It's awesome.
So
you get like
weird.
profiles and like case files for like cases 20 years in the past. You get floor layouts. It does so much. It's a cool detective game. Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's very cool. The second one is called My Child Lebensborn, and that is a phone game. It's for Android and iOS, and it's about the experiences of a child of a Nazi soldier after World War II, and how like they were discriminated for deeds they had no control over, like they had no agency in it, and it feels so real and so cruel, but it also like gives perspective from both sides. Like you understand both sides of the story, but still feels really unfair. And yeah, it's a great story, not one I was expecting from a phone game. It's really good. And the third one is Florence, which is also a phone game, a story-based phone game. And this is just the story of a relationship that goes not exactly wrong, but just you see the beginning of a relationship, of a romantic relationship. And then you see like how they get along, how they get to know each other and like become a couple. And then you get to see like their struggles and how eventually they just drift apart. And like all the mechanics in this game kind of is a metaphor for that. Like you're kind of doing puzzles and like trying to form speech bubbles. And sometimes it's really easy because you know each other so well, and so it's so easy to strike up a conversation. But then eventually the speech bubble just breaks apart into smaller pieces. It becomes more and more difficult. Like that's such a great metaphor for that. Yeah, it's very smart.
So I've actually heard of this game because a very good friend of mine actually linked me to the soundtrack because she had been listening to it, and
I see.
The soundtrack is amazing.
Agreed. It's very good. And both of these are paid, but they don't cost a lot, and they're very short experiences. So I give them a shot if you want to.
That's something I wanted to ask. Like, how hard is it to find a really good story-influenced mobile game?
Well, can you say it again?
Like, how hard is it to find a story-based mobile game?
Right. Yeah. That is really difficult. These are the two I can think of that has like a really good story, honestly. Because most of them are just about like match 3 puzzles or just like Clash Royale or wherever. And, it's cool that we can have these kinds of games too on the App Store.
Of course.
It's very cool. Yeah. And I just wanted, for people who have listened to the show before, Ben it still is one of the hosts of the show, and he just wanted to give a few recommendations. Of course, D&D, as we mentioned, he also loves D&D a lot. Also appreciates the original Spelunky a lot, and I do too.
Yeah.
I think Spelunky is like a great game. You play it again and again, and you get new stories to tell as a result, because there's so many different variables and things that can happen.
I'm very excited for the new one that's coming out.
Yeah, Spelunky 2. I could not believe it, but it's happening.
It is happening.
Darksiders 2 is also very cool. Think basically like Legend of Zelda design combined with kind of Dark Souls style, graphical style. Like
Darksiders 1
Darksiders
was
2,
much more. Darksiders 1
1
was, it's much more Zelda influenced. Darksiders 2 is more combat and Dark Soulsy based, where it's kind of this slower combat where you're in like this nitty gritty Norse mythology kind of setting.
I think it's also based on the four horsemen of the no, wait, was it? Yeah, I think
You're correct. It's the four horsemen of the the third one that just came out is based on Fury.
Yes,
I think the first one was War. I can't remember the second one. Ben will probably yell at me, because I have played the second one, but I can't remember the name.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, Ben really likes the game from what he told me, so worth a try. And also the new Minecraft update, the aquatic update.
Have you guys played that?
I believe
I have.
I am
quite a bit.
I am not.
I've played a good amount, yes.
What did you think of it?
It's one of the better updates, I would say. There's a lot of it's ocean based, so like a lot of ocean biomes have been reworked to like the swimming mechanics have been changed. There's now like bubble columns when you put like soul sand under solid water blocks into like create bubble traps that shoot entities up, and it just recreates Minecraft in a way that hasn't really been seen since like the terrain updates in like 1.7, 1.6.
1.8, I think, was the last big one like this.
Yeah.
Was that the adventure update? 1.8?
Maybe.
It's been a while.
I think. Oh, wow, I'm not sure actually now.
Yeah,
It might
I
be.
can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've got like sunken pirate ships and there's treasure maps and there's a bunch of
And
cool
tridents.
stuff. Yeah, tridents.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
cool stuff. Yeah, I think it's a good direction for the future of Minecraft. Like, if this is a hint of where it's going, I think it's promising.
Oh, definitely. 1.14's coming out where they're reworking like villagers and making them a lot more detailed and like adding different villager types, and I think they're changing Minecraft in a different sense that kind of makes it a better game.
Right. And they're kind of like breathing life into the parts of the game that didn't have much life. Like, the oceans used to be pretty empty. Once you knew the village mechanics, they kind of felt empty. So I think those are good changes,
Mhm.
like to change.
I agree. All right. With
All right.
that, Emerric.
Alright, my turn then.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, my first two honourable mentions have already been mentioned by Quil. Those would be Monster Hunter World and Dead Cells. I only got Dead Cells quite recently, so I haven't got the chance to play too much of that, but I've been really enjoying it. I personally love how in a roguelike how aggressive I can play, so it's really been quite fun to just have a few run-throughs of that a day, so but unfortunately I haven't really had the chance to play too much of it this year, so it hasn't really been in contention for anything more than that. Monster Hunter World, I played a good amount of this year. I was probably going to put this on instead of Radiant Historia, but I've played a whole bunch more of Radiant Historia. I've actually beaten most of it, so whereas for Monster Hunter World I've only gotten into high rank and just ends it there, but I do have interest in getting back into it, just haven't gotten around to it yet. Some other notable mentions, one which don't think a lot of people would have heard would be Overwhelm, which was a 2D can't think of the best way to describe this. It's not really a Metroidvania, but it's sort of in the style, just with none of the collections. None of the collection, like there's no...
Oh,
real
there's
big-
no like collecting key items that do.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Essentially how the way works is that there are 5 main bosses of the game, and after you beat one of the bosses, you collect an item which you have to take back to the hub. Collecting the item will give all the enemies in the world a power-up instead of powering you up, so as you beat more bosses, the enemies get stronger and harder to deal with, so... and it sort of runs in a style similar to a roguelike in that after you die you have to get up and start all over again, so... I've just been loving the oppressive nature of it, just how hostile the world in which it is, in which it takes place in is, so...
The
Sounds
first
like a good
article-
name for the game.
The first article that came up when I was looking at this was the words "blood drunk action game" were in the title,
Whoa.
and that immediately pulls me in.
That said, I don't think it's a particularly long game, so just bear that in mind.
Right.
Next up would be a surprise that... Who is an anonymous blobfish? I saw that. Either way, next up on my honorable mentions would be Zelda Breath of the Wild. I quite enjoyed what little I did play of it, however, I didn't get the chance to play too much of it because, of course, Octopath Traveler came out,
Right.
and that's where I sunk a good majority of my time, so... Then after that came Okami, then a whole bunch more, so I haven't really gotten the time to go back to it yet, but it is on my list of things to go back to, so... And, something that I'm doing a playthrough now that I finally, after all this time, own the physical copy of, would be Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time, which
Nice.
It's a good game.
a game that I've just loved ever since my childhood, so finally getting my hands on a physical copy of it, I've just been
How old
enjoying
is this
myself
game?
with it, so... Oh...
Too old.
That is a good question.
Too
Yeah.
old.
I don't wanna
2008.
look, 'cause,
Uh,
oof. It's 10 years
No.
old, so...
no,
Oh no.
No, that's what I think. Hold on, I have to look this up.
no.
no.
We're all getting old. No.
2007.
Oh no, it's even worse.
Same year as Super Mario Galaxy. Oh my god.
What? No, take it
Where
back.
did the time go? Who stole time? Stop it.
We have to go back. Bring the book.
Now, Emerric, do they explore time in this game?
Oh,
Yes,
God.
that's one of the main plot points. Of course they
Don't
do.
you
explore
understand?
time.
We are all explorers of time.
Oh, that's
Take me
deep.
back.
Getting
Take me
too
back.
That's
Take
deep.
me back.
This is getting way too deep for me. I'm gonna have to back out right now.
Maybe we should go to ranking then.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And so we have come to the ranking portion of the show. Here's where it gets dirty. Oh boy.
Oh God.
Now, I just want to say, every game we nominated so far are amazing. They're great. And nothing we're going to say here, nothing about this ranking is going to say that they're bad or anything like that. Okay. We all appreciate these games. I'm probably going to buy some of them after the recording of this show.
Gonna buy a Switch just for some of them?
Yep. And I just want to say, above everything else, it's your own personal favorite game that is number one. Okay. That's what matters most. It's your own personal favorite. So no matter what, that will be number one on the list.
See, and that's a convincing argument on why D&D should be number one on the list.
D&D, yep.
No.
Does anyone disagree with D&D being number one on the list?
That's probably what easily we all have spent a lot of time on this
I
year.
don't know. I feel like I have to
think
vote
so.
Wandersong on principle for that speech.
No.
On
While-
principle, I feel like that has to be in the top 3, though.
Obviously.
Listen. Wandersong is clearly inspired by D&D as you play as a bard.
Oh.
So I say D&D is first.
Yeah, but Barbarian, you could also say it was inspired by D&D.
What are you talking about? Right?
That's not on this list.
That's
Wandersong
not
is.
on the list. But yeah, I'm just gonna write down Dungeons and Dragons as the number one.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
I can't really argue that, so...
Okay, let's look through here. Okay.
I'll say, for the sake of time, because we are at 2.5 hours,
Right.
let's just do a top 5.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Top 3.
I'm making the executive decision that Wandersong is number 2.
Oh my gosh. That would make me so happy.
No, I gotta agree with the Sid's impassioned speech.
Oh, thank you. Oh, okay. That makes number 3 really difficult. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
I'm torn on what that should be. I almost want to give it to, Smash.
Really? I was thinking
Yeah.
Persona
Smash or
5.
Persona. Yeah, that's what I was really thinking. Like, Smash or Persona should probably go somewhere in the top 5.
Yeah.
I think I liked... I like Persona 5 more.
I have to agree.
I will say.
I haven't had... Oh,
Oh yeah,
Go ahead,
Emerric,
Sid.
you first, please.
I was gonna say, I haven't had the chance to play Persona 5 since I don't own a PlayStation 4, but that is one of the games that I just really want the chance to play, and hopefully it comes over to Switch, perhaps, but again, we'll have to watch that space, so I would say Persona 5 over Smash, personally.
I think both of these games are one of a kind, but one thing I think will go against Smash Brothers is that it plays a lot on nostalgia and fan service.
Yeah.
And like it's still an amazing game, but I think a lot of the love is from appreciating those characters and the different games that they come from.
You're also comparing a very multiplayer heavy based game to a very
Right.
single player based game. Like the single player in
Yeah.
Smash does not hold a candle to Persona. And
Very good point.
There's just a much better experience with Persona.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like it has to go number 3.
Yeah. Persona 5 and number 3. I like it.
Now number
This is
4.
an amazing list. Oh, okay, number 4. So is this Smash or is there another contender? I will say I really like what I heard about Clank in Space Apocalypse.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's a game I've never heard about before until today, and I was really interested by that case. But there are so many good choices here. Is the thing.
Twilight
Oh, good
Princess
choice.
is, of course, an amazing game.
Yeah.
Biased, yes.
I feel bad, Sid. I feel really bad because I haven't played any of the games you nominated.
Oh, I know. I totally understand that, and I'm just looking from my point of view, and none of the other nominations of mine are gonna beat these. I have several others that I like above these. I think. So that's totally fine. Like,
Go ahead.
like I just wanted to say that I think both like Ori, Octopath, Smash Brothers, and Okami, and Twilight Princess probably as well goes above Pikachu and Fast Advance Adventures. So yeah, I don't think you should even consider them at this point. That's all.
I am gonna say number 4 should probably go into Clank, and here's why. Tabletop games in general, like we put D&D as number 1, and
Right.
that you don't need much for at all, and like just the ability to like sit down and play this board game and have a very much a different experience each time you play it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like board games as a whole are going to be everlasting. Whereas video games, who knows what the standard will be 10 days from now. Like,
Right.
years from now.
We've still got virtual
I've-
reality board games.
I know!
They're immortal.
Like,
You
what
can't
is
kill
this
them.
becoming? But,
Uh,
yeah, I'm going to say, like, I should give it to Clank.
Clank and then Twilight
Yeah.
Princess, maybe? Or
There's
No,
so many
I don't
good
know about
games
Twilight
here.
Princess. That's your guys' call. I'm biased on it.
Oh, okay.
I would personally say Ori over Twilight Princess, but
Yeah.
that's just me.
I'm gonna give it to Ori over Twilight Princess if it's between those two. Just because Ori has like a beautiful style to it.
yeah.
I guess one question about Twilight Princess. Like, I guess the same argument I had for Smash. Do you think that the enjoyment of Twilight Princess depends on your enjoyment of past entries? Or is it just
Well-
solid as a game overall?
You're not gonna get anything different from Twilight Princess, and which is why I'm saying it probably doesn't belong in the top 5 because it doesn't push any boundaries that quite a few of these games have done, and it's very safe in that, and it only expands on previous features. And while it is like really good and just really well done on how it expands all its mechanics from previous games, it doesn't do anything different.
But I also think like that's such an accomplishment in a way, because the Zelda fan base cares so much about the main series, so it must be really difficult to also be able to create a game that is what they would want, that is so similar
definitely.
to past entries, but still is like new and does new things. Like, that feels really difficult. Like, it seems an accomplishment in itself.
And a lot of people will point to like the quote-unquote Zelda formula, but man, it works.
Right. And it's not just to have the formula, like, you have to execute on that as well. Like, you have to try and put your unique spin on it every time, and that's not just a thing. This is not just the button you press and you make a game. Like, there's a lot of effort into that.
And another thing I'll say for Twilight Princess, like, the game is longer. There's a lot more to Twilight Princess than you would think, because there's a lot of different characters and different personalities in the actual game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hell, is a hidden village with just cats that you can talk to, and Like, go play hide and seek with cats. Which is very weird. But, yeah, like, in its own, although it's more of an action-adventure game, you're dealing with a lot more with the NPCs than you have done probably in almost all the Zelda games.
But okay. But are you okay with letting it go for Ori?
I would sacrifice it to Ori if I had to send
Sacrifice it
one
to
child.
Ori.
I would if I had to send one child to the sun between Ori and Twilight Princess, I would pick Ori.
Send one to the sun god Amaterasu.
If we had to send someone to send one of these for another generation to experience somewhere in the far distant space, I would send off Ori. So I'd say give it to Ori.
Okay. Any objections? Is
Nay.
there anything you really want to see on the list?
I feel bad for Emerric, but nay.
Yeah. I would like to see Octopath on there, but there's a good case for Ori just for what
look.
it does for Metroidvanias.
Look, there's a number 6.
So having such a
Oh look, 5. Number 5 is 5.
My
Number
favorite
5 is
game.
5.
Oh god.
I mean, we can have a number 6.
Just so Emerric has one on there.
A close 6 would be Octopath though. Octopath is a very much detailed story.
Yeah, I would like it to give it credit for what it does with 8 protagonists, like being able to tell 8 unique and interesting stories, coupled together with an engaging battle system, like Emerric mentioned, plus that just mesmerizing art style, and then just have the soundtrack be so interesting, so good on top of that. And I think it's a system seller for the Switch as well. Like having have a game come so early in the Switch's life cycle is amazing.
Yeah.
So
I would say it was the system seller for me. So.
Right, exactly.
Really?
Okay, so I think we should have a top 6. Are we okay
Yes.
with this?
Top 6 is perfectly
Ori
fine.
and the Blind Forest at number 5, Octopath Traveler at number 6.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, I love this
Yay.
list.
Alright. And again, this means nothing else for the other games. They're all our own experiences, and
Yes.
that's really what gaming is. It's an experience.
Exactly. And this was just
And
a
as we-
celebration of all those moments we've had with these games.
Yep.
Definitely. At the beginning of a new year, we can look toward the new experiences we're likely to share, whether it be tabletop games, video games, anything in general. There's quite a few coming up in 2019 already. Dreams for the PS4.
Yeah. So I'm really looking
Yeah.
forward to Dreams. That is the new game from Media Molecule, who made the Little Big Planet series. And in Dreams,
Oh,
it's
that's them.
basically, it's about creating your own experience. It basically gives you all the tools available to make your own animated movie or your own game.
What?
That is the potential of Dreams.
What?
It lets you realize your dreams, basically.
Sid, why are all of your things so wholesome?
So Little Big Planet 2 had a really good community where just a lot of, even though that was a platformer, a lot of the community was making their own games. People have made shmups and racing games in Little Big Planet 2 just because of the tools they give you. And it's good that they're now just saying, make a game to make whatever you want.
Yeah. And this, they have been working on this for so many years that now it has its own music creator. You basically have an audio workstation in the game. You can make your own
What?
soundtrack and sound effects, You can make your own models with like animation routines and AI. Like you can make whatever you like. It's wild, and it's supposed to come out this year somehow. It's supposed to be something that will be released, and that's really cool. I'm also looking forward to Sable, which is just like a very fine-looking open world adventure game, which kind of has this style of European comics and then kind of the aesthetics and style of Miyazaki movies in some ways. Like it takes inspiration from all of these elements and just makes a game that looks very unique, and it's cool.
It feels a lot like a Journey kinda, with just exploring this open world.
Definitely. It's cool.
I mentioned this before previously when I was talking about Ori and the Blind Forest, but Ori and the Will of the Wisps is coming out. I believe it's coming out this year?
I believe
Maybe?
so.
I think it is, yes.
Yeah. So, like, that because apparently now you get, like, a bird companion?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was one of the trailers, I think. Yeah.
I think. I don't quite remember the E3 trailer. But, man. I've always wanted a bird as a pet. Now I get to have it as Ori. Live my dreams.
Honestly, I'm just so excited to get more.
More Ori? Yeah.
Yes.
I kind of hope it's a bit longer than Blind Forest is. Because that was done probably about 4 hours, was probably my final playtime.
Ooh, yeah. It wasn't particularly long, so I imagine.
No,
most
I'll have to
sequels are
double check.
longer.
I might be shortballing that one. I'll have to double check.
Anyway, yeah, I'm really excited for the sequel. I think this is definitely one of the games that deserve the sequel. Like, I feel like they can do even more with it. For me, Blind Forest took 10 hours, so it was longer.
10 hours? Okay, yeah, so quite a bit longer. That's what I thought. Yoshi's Crafted World, I'm personally looking forward to because I played Woolly World, which is another creation by Feel Good, who are the developers of Kirby's Epic Yarn.
What a good name for a developer.
I know, and they make a bunch of these games just based on like arts and crafts.
It makes you feel good.
I know. I played co-op Woolly World, and that was so much fun. And Crafted World just looks like a really good sequel.
Yeah.
Not really sequel, but expansion on like the almost Kirby, Yoshi platforming. Although I feel like that game's been kind of put on the back burner a little bit for like Smash and other titles to come out. Yeah. So I hope that there's more announced on it.
I hope so too. I think they said spring this year, so it's gonna be pretty
spring. That would be good. Yeah. There's not much marketing coming up for it, so I hope it gets a bit better.
Me too.
A surprise that came out in the Game Awards that blew the internet up. Joker is in Smash Ultimate, is one of the DLC characters.
Woo. So good.
That opens up Smash Ultimate to a lot more options and different characters you can bring now that Nintendo's selecting them.
I don't care how good Joker is. I'm maining him.
Yeah, of course.
Forget Ness.
No.
I'm worried he's gonna be complex as Robin. I'd rather hope not.
Do you think he'll fight with a persona? Like, will he have one of the?
Well, of course.
I bet he will
I think
have
it's
multiple.
gonna be the main one that.
He might be like Shulk.
I feel like it's gonna be the main one that he has.
Arsene.
I can't remember the name. Arsene. Yeah.
Will there be?
I hope the final
Jack
smash
Frost.
is the.
Sorry. Yeah.
I hope the final smash will be the all-out attack
Yeah.
card, where just him like that stylized card with just
Yeah.
him holding his hand up, kind of fixing the glove.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Like Final Smash has to be related to that, or is like the pose for him winning has to be that.
Definitely. Will there be a Jack Frost assist trophy? Yes or no?
There better be.
There will probably be Jack Frost Spirit.
I know there's probably going to be a
Okay.
stage coming with each of these, right? So I'm hoping for mementos.
Yeah.
There's a stage for each one. And music. There's music. Music. I want to.
Such a good
I want
addition.
to. I want to punch Luigi till last surprise. That's all I want.
How could you?
Well, on that,
Hey, year of the
Look,
Legion has passed, man. It's not his time to shine anymore.
Speaking of new people in Smash, I just want to see Amaterasu in Smash. That's all.
Oh,
Yeah, of course.
that'd be so good.
what about Sora from Kingdom Hearts 3 coming
Oh
up?
my
You like that segue?
Wow.
Segway.
Ooh.
So,
I'm so
oh
excited.
my goodness. Do you guys know that Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in 2005? And now it's 2019 and we're finally getting Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
It's about
The
time.
last trailer that came out for this,
Dreamed Up
No,
Distance?
if well, no, the last trailer that came out
Oh,
for Kingdom
sorry.
Hearts 3, the one that came out during, I want to say December, like late December,
Yeah.
which is like the end of it. I won't get into far detail on it for spoiler's sake, because quite a bit of marketing has gone into the story on how that's going.
Yeah.
And good luck figuring out a Kingdom Hearts story.
Oh, believe me, I've watched so many plot summaries of the series.
Do you
I
make
understand
sense
it?
of it. Somewhat, actually. Now that's kind of crazy.
I
to
will say I'm glad that they've released it all in one pack now
yeah,
to make it
that's
easily
very good.
digestible.
Definitely.
Man, it was rough. Yeah. It's a headache to
Oh, why did
try
they
and
split
figure
it
out.
over so many consoles? I'm so confused. Like, how are you
I don't know, man.
supposed to like be updated on everything when it's like, oh, something on phone, something on the DS, PSP? Yeah, it's just so much. But yeah, finally 3 is coming out. I'm so happy for everyone around the world waiting for it. It's so
Yep.
good.
Speaking of world
How about ones full of monsters
and hunters,
On ice.
in which you have to hunt?
it's Monster
Yeah,
Hunter
so it'll
World.
be,
Iceborne.
yes, the new expansion for that is coming out sometime late in autumn, so gonna have to wait a little bit of a while for that, but yeah, it would be good to
It-
see more
it's
things
a
to hunt.
Completely new map, right?
I think so, yeah.
That's what I'm remember reading about.
And
It's
I
gonna be
imagine that's
interesting.
what people want, right? It's like a completely new area to explore with new monsters and weapon sets, I imagine. Like,
Oh right.
Yeah.
sounds like
Freedom Unite, which was on the PSP, probably the first ones I played. Like one of the first areas, you went into this plains and then to this snowy mountain, and like I would like to experience that again in Monster Hunter World in like HD,
Mhm.
no load times.
Definitely.
And last but not least,
All I'm
shoot.
hoping is...
Go ahead.
All I'm hoping is that Zynoga finally makes his appearance, because I love Zynoga. I haven't seen him yet,
Hmm.
so hopefully
I
he
think
pops
I
up.
remember him. I'm glad Devil Joe was a DLC event.
Ah, yeah, the pickle boy.
What?
Alright.
So what do these monster hunters wear?
They can wear
Monsters.
a variety of things. Armor, leggings, perhaps
Tunics?
even tunics.
Tell us about that.
Alright. Alright,
out.
so this...
We're done.
Alright, this was a last minute addition I just put on there because I mistook Sable for this,
Mm-hmm.
which is Tunic, which should be coming out on the Xbox One.
Yeah,
remember the
Tunic
E3
looks
trailer
so
for this.
good.
It's so adorable.
So it looks like you play as a fox, so I'm already
I
sold.
get,
Fox boy.
yeah, exactly. That's what sold me on it. You get to play as the most adorable.
Oh
little
my
fox
goodness,
boy,
guys.
So
Foxes are my favorite animal.
It's like an isometric Zelda game. So adorable.
The grass. You can walk through the grass and it looks so good. Yeah, this game looks amazing. It's fantastic. I'm so happy it's coming out.
The character's just too pure. He must be kept. He must be protected.
Yes. For sure. Oh. 2019 looks like a pretty fantastic game. A fantastic year for games.
It sure does. And who knows? We might be able to get back into this and discuss them as they happen.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, that is the end of the show. We hope you guys enjoyed
Forever.
a lot of these games we talked about. No, not quite. We hope you guys enjoyed the games we talked about, and some of us pouring our hearts out to a lot of our experiences last year. 2018 was just a really good year for video games.
Definitely. And it was the revival of D&D.
I wouldn't say quite happened in D&D era last year, but
It's been a gradual thing.
Yeah, definitely. Gradual.
certainly.
But it certainly exploded.
All right,
Yes.
we got a big ball of fire.
Would you say like a fireball?
Yeah, that was a joke.
Speaking of fire,
Thank you guys for watching. I'm Cool J1.
I'm Sid. Thank you for listening.
bye.
Bye.
Alright, see you guys next time. Get on points.
Yeah. dude.
Should we record a less awkward outro?
No,
No, that's how
genuine.
it's supposed to be. Yep.
That's the get on point experience.